talking through this early slate and then the main slate. There's a 6-gamer early one. It's a pretty decent tournaments out there. I'm only playing a couple lineups, but definitely like a few things and curious to get your thoughts on them. One thing I'm not going to be doing is mixing around pitching on this early slate. I don't really see the upside in trying to go outside of maybe the top three or four at the most pitchers, unless you wanted to get creative with Andrew Abbott, which would be the only one I would consider, and that would be for large field stuff. So that's sort of where I'm at pitching wise. What are you looking at on this slate?
First of all, just so you guys know, for those of you who were there last night, you saw me literally build everything live, and I did cash in both big buy-ins on DraftKings.
Nice. Yeah. I was going to ask you about that because I didn't get a chance to follow up, but that's awesome.
Not like huge or anything like that, but I think something like 25th in the Mega 8s and like 22nd in the Ball 4.
Hey, that's not nothing.
So there you go. Good job. Good job, everybody that watched. All right, so let me share my screen, and then we'll build as well, because there are a couple of changes I have to make since the
lineups came out,
since the projections were done, some lineup change and stuff. Let's just take a look at it. I mean, without even looking at forget this for a second. Without even looking at projections, I mean, I don't know. I think that when you say I don't want to get too crazy, I don't even know what that is. So
pitching wise,
no, I know, but what does that mean? So without even looking at projections, I imagine that because it's the streaming against Colorado thing, that Michael King is going to be the best pitcher, and probably the chalkiest and whatever. But I don't know. I think there are guys here that you can play, like
just Crochet.
Well, Crochet, sure, but what's wrong with Brian Wu? What's wrong with Alec Marsh? What's wrong? Abbott? You already mentioned Abbott.
Just absolutely like infinitely less ceiling for those guys.
Okay.
A lower floor. Yeah, that's the reason. Wu I would put as the whatever. Like
what's
Crochet Gasser of the three.
What about Casey Mize home against Miami? I mean, that seems pretty good.
You're just just compared to the other guys, I don't have him close, but I mean, It's fine. I don't think. I mean, in general, you don't really want to mix up your pitching. You're talking about, we're talking about Casey Mize, the guy who hasn't hit 20. I guess he had 20 in one game this year. And it is a good matchup. And, he throws a few less pitches than some of these other guys. He doesn't have the strikeout stuff that Gasser we expect to have. Gasser's a very high level prospect guy. Brian Wu's making his second start back after coming back. He only threw 60 pitches in his first start, so I don't know if he'll throw more than 80 today. Alec Marsh has got a good matchup against Seattle, but he'll need every bit of it because, until this year, he's had a couple of decent strikeout games. So I guess Alec Marsh could be considered on the list. I just don't find it I just think when you're playing that versus King at 8,800, I would just give me the ceiling. I would rather play that personally. And that's why I said if there's one other guy to include, it would be Andrew Abbott, who I just think has been a little bit off, but also can be misprojected. He's got strikeouts in there. It's just he's actually been pitching a little bit better for what it's worth. So it's a tough matchup, but he would be the one I would get, in a fringy tough matchup.
Yeah, who got there for me yesterday were the aforementioned Cardinals.
Yeah, he did
against the guy's my hero. I mean, Reed Detmers and I are really, really good friends. I mean, like he tosses all kinds of 10 spots to me when I need him.
Yep.
Even Dylan Carlson had like a hit and a walk or something like that.
That was like anything can happen when Dylan Carlson doubles in a run on his first at bat. It's going to be a good day.
And then when you have Orianato who cannot do anything, him and Goldschmidt didn't do that. Anyway. I'm also not particularly, I don't want to say convinced, because he obviously has a big strikeout upside, but I don't think Crochet is such a freaking lock either.
It just depends on what you call a lot. Like he's significant. These are significantly better. Like there's slates we play, there's slates we don't. We don't have guys with as high of a ceiling and floor that stand out to me that often, so far above everybody else. Now, of course, they can have a bad game. But like yesterday, like I said, if you're not going to play C, like if you're, I was saying the pivot off of C's would be Sale, because, on FanDuel, for example, because Sale had the ceiling, and Sale, of course, had an absolutely monster game. It's not like there's these other guys who were afraid of having monster games. The guys who you'd be afraid of having monster games would be the King and Crochet, and possibly Gasser. But I don't see anybody else as, without something weird happening, like a shutout, a complete game shutout or something, to where these guys are going to have this monster game. So yeah, you can mix up the pitching. I'm fine with that. I'm playing a couple lineups only, so maybe that's where it's coming from. But I'd rather not spread out a pitching when I don't have to. And today is a day where I don't think I have to.
So your second best pitcher, your best pitcher after King would be who?
Crochet. Actually, I don't think it's that big of a gap between he and Crochet for me. And I don't think money matters at all. I think you could go out of your way, and there's just nothing you're going to need savings for.
I mean, you have Andrew Vaughn at 2,900 at first base.
You've got the White Sox. You've got the Tigers, who are my two favorite teams, and they don't cost anything really. I think Cincinnati would be the other team I'd take a shot on. It's a high strikeout. They've got a lot of high strikeouts in that offense against a pitcher who's a good pitcher but doesn't strike people out. That seems like a reasonable spot to take Cincinnati. So those are my three stacks personally.
So I'm going to build, I guess. But when I look at what I think I would want to play, it would be the White Sox against Corbin, right? And then I like Cincinnati a little bit, and then Cincinnati I think would probably be my favorite, actually, in a weird way. Yeah. Cincinnati. I mean, Arizona, I suppose. But yeah, I think Cincinnati, if I had to pick one. I don't know. I just have a feeling that that this slate is going to be kind of weird. That it's just not going to be like King Crochet. You know what I mean? I just think that it's going to be something bizarre. But one thing that you did kind of allude to is that if you build lineups, even if you saber sim or whatever, and you're leaving like 2,000 on the table, I would leave it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you really don't need to spend salary on this slate at all.
I also would throw out that I think it's absolutely nonsensical I've become more and more addicted to this brand, and a lot of the other times Cheese is doing it now. He's done it before, but I mean, Cheese had a lineup the other night in a big one that was a 3-1-1, 3 and then all 5 from other things. Sometimes I think we have to start shifting our brains and not just do what everybody's been doing. Not you. I understand you got your system. You're going to do that. I'm just speaking to everybody out there that I do think it's worth engaging on these small slates, that really taking, especially when in this case, there's not like these huge bats you want to get to, but when you've got an Ohtani in a bet slate, let's say the Dodgers were on this slate. You didn't necessarily want to stack the Dodgers, but you want to play Ohtani in bets. You just go out of your way to get those high ceiling bats. And speaking of which, by the way, the Dodgers were like 3% owned as a stack last night, and of course scored the most runs. I did win in baseball, but I didn't win as much as I could have won because my complimentary stack, I was so good with my Dodger stack being low owned. I knew it was going to be low owned, so I played just the wrong parts of Boston, and like my other guys combined for like 3 points, or I might have won some tournaments yesterday because that Dodger stack, and it won our longtime sub MJ Vandy. He won 10K last night off of it.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, with the nice Dodger stack.
That's awesome.
Happy to see that from MJ, and happy my man had faith in me after a rough go of it. We were sort of, he was talking about Texas in Discord, and that's who I ended up liking the most. Obviously, would have much rather had all Dodger stacks, but good for MJ, and we had some other winners as well. So it was a good night for the TrueDFS subscribers, I think, for the most part.
Yeah, I had the Dodgers in the mega eights. That's what a couple. Ooh. So that's a guy. I didn't have all of them. And what's his name sent one to the wall for me? Will Smith. That would have been a good one. That's the guy I had.
The Dodgers.
Wait, so who's that? So Corbin Carroll is out today.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for what it's worth, I just wanted to mention something about, and I'm not tracking everything Brandon Adams does, but when he plays things, I do want to see what's happening, because I know he's been incredibly successful, not just recently, but historically, with this non-stacking thing. And it seems like the teams, like what he's doing is if he plays if he stacks anybody 5-man, it's going to be the Dodgers or Braves. Everybody else seems like that's what he's not going with. But I just thought it was interesting to point that out because I think that if you were going to have to stack 2 teams, those are the teams that score in the ways that you would most want to stack anyway.
Wait, so Lopez is out for the White Sox. I'm just trying to catch up here. I have to rebuild these. Who else is out? Is Garver going to be out? That didn't get released yet.
No,
Bethencourt is out. Carroll is out. And Lopez is out. As far as my stuff goes,
right.
I'm not going to redo the projections on it, but just everybody knows. I am going to rebuild though and see what that looks like. I'm curious to see what this looks like actually. You know, it's funny. The first thing I built, and I'm sure that you wouldn't be surprised, was giving me 90% Colorado. Of course.
Oh, of course. They love to do it. But by the way, sometimes.
Hey, I'll tell you something else. The aforementioned Colorado did some damage last night.
They did, even though they barely touched the ball until that one home run in the 7th.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear you. I mean, Steez was still good, like good enough.
He was okay. I mean, but you know, he wasn't 11K 70% owned good. You know, like
he lost 7. Well, he lost only because of Sale. He lost those 7 points at the end. Actually, that should have probably been 11 points because they probably should score more than 1 run, which is all he had given up. And he just sometimes it happens. We saw a lot of pitchers get hit in their last inning last night. It was weird. It was like nobody was giving up any runs. Then all of a sudden, the 7th inning, 6th inning, 7th inning, that's when they got their runs. So
I'll tell you, yeah. Waka did exactly what I thought he was going to do.
Yeah,
you know, and Sale was rolling, man. Can I tell you?
But by the way, this is why ownership does matter. If I would have thought Waka was going to be like 7 or 8% owned, which he was,
that was nuts. I thought he was going to be like 20% owned.
Me too. I thought it would be much higher. So I would have definitely been on more Waka. I thought for a minute your Yankees were going to bring it home. I built a Yankee stack while you were gone, while you were talking yesterday, because I kind of liked the idea against Pat. Yeah. It looked like a beautiful start, but then that bullpen got him, and they couldn't get anything.
Let's see what I'm getting here. Yeah, they're really yeah, okay, we're getting a little less charge. Oh, Will Benson's projected to hit first at 3,800.
Will Benson is. Wait, hold on. First
for the Reds.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not official yet, but
yeah. Benson should be. He did lead off last night. Yeah, against another righty. He'll be leading off most likely.
Yeah. So the White Sox look like the best, I guess.
Yeah, White Sox. I like the Tigers. And a little bit. I mean, Tigers have always said this. That stadium plays. It's very much San Francisco-esque. They play a lot better as hitting during the day. And it's a better hitter's park in San Francisco. But that's just worth pointing out. I saw people saying last night about the Dodgers where they hit 3 or 4 triples in the game last night, and people were like, "How are there so many triples?" And that's what happens in San Francisco. That just proves they could have gotten some more runs. You hit the ball deep, and there's so many weird corners and angles that those things that would be home runs in other parks and turning into triples on that giant outfield. But same thing with Comerica today. That's why I mentioned it. But yeah, I think that it's good sticking to those teams. And what I'm looking at from ownership, sort of from Goldie's projections, and I mean, I guess the years are probably pretty similar. You have some guys on Detroit getting some ownership. You have Milwaukee getting a decent amount of ownership. But if you go through the first 12 players, only 2 are the only ones from the same team are there's 2 from the White Sox and 2 from Detroit. Everybody else, you've got it a little bit spread out today. So yeah, you're going to have double-digit ownership on most of the stacks that you like, guys at double-digit ownership. But it's all in the teens. Nobody projected to be above 21% of the guy that's the highest right now from Goldie for Ibanez. And I just, it's a small slate. So yeah, factor in ownership, but I don't feel uncomfortable, especially because I'm doing my stacks right now is a 3-3-2 and a 4-3-1. That's what I'm doing. King got bodied, and the AJ saying King got bodied last time he was in Colorado. The only thing I would say is there's a big difference between pitching in San Diego and Colorado. Rockies first in OPS the last set. So we keep nitpicking these things. And now, like, in order to do that, I would have to go back. Were all those games in Colorado? I think 6 of them were.
I have no problem playing Colorado in the lottery.
Right, but I just want to point out that selecting and choosing the right stats that suit your narrative is a terrible way to go about betting on sports in general. Like, it's something that you hear all the time in golf. It's like the last 14 starts, the guys like this, or the last 6 starts. The last 7 days doesn't mean anything, especially if all those games were in Colorado. In Colorado, theoretically, they should always be at near the top of OPS, and it's fine. I'm still playing King. I'm totally fine if people want to take a contrarian stance.
I got a better one for you. How about this? I got a better one for you, AJ. Ready? If you want this, ready? Michael King pitched for the Yankees, and he's 70% owned. Let's play Colorado. It's good enough for me. I hate Michael King, so I'm totally down with it. I'm not going to play him in the big buy-in, but I'm probably going to get some Colorado in the lottery, just for you, not just for you, but in part for you.
And I might be a little overly biased because I sadly stacked the Dodgers with Michael King looked like the greatest pitcher in history his last start. You want to go for another reason why you could play Michael King tonight? He threw 100. He threw I think that might be like his most pitches in a long time. His last start. That's another reason why
you should fade him. You mean?
Yeah, yeah. If you wanted to fade him, there's probably the excuse. And yeah, he got hit in Colorado. I guess you could use that as another excuse, but that doesn't really. I tend to think those even out. But yeah, I hear it. I'm playing him because that's I'm not playing enough lineups not to play him really. So I'm just gonna do it. But if I had to pivot, it would probably be like a weird guy like Andrew Abbott or something, like who has a ceiling, but it's just a really tough matchup.
You don't like the fat guy?
Thought doesn't like he had one strikeout game, and guess who it was against? The Mariners.
Dodgers?
No, the Mariners, who strike out 35% of the time. He literally had 0 strikeouts his last start. I've watched this guy pitch good games and have 0 strikeouts before. It's really hard in a DFS game where strikeouts are so important to play guys like that. But then every now and then they come out with one, and I don't know what to say. I mean, I guess it just happens. But it is weird. All right, let's see what else we got here. No. Boy, the White Sox are so crazy cheap, which just tells you how bad they really are. They're so cheap. It's hilarious. It's like hilarious cheap. All right. I'm now, because I want to be with the squad, I have to take one non-Michael King lineup and a couple bats from Colorado in that lineup, just to be a little bit different than what I was going to do. But I can't quite get to the Colorado full stack personally. Although there's not a whole lot to like love on this slate. I mean, I talked about a trade in the White Sox. That should tell you something, you know?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, it was in Colorado. Yeah. No, this is wrong, AJ. AJ, you've got everything backwards. It was in Colorado. That's not a good thing. They're playing in San Diego. It's one of the biggest stadium downgrades you could ever have. But I'm still doing a little bit of it. But yeah, the game is not in Colorado. The game is in San Diego. Just want to make this very clear. This AJ has got to know that this game is not in Colorado.
Well, I'm gonna give you another. I'll give you another idea. So we were going to I was gonna be all over the Mitchell Parker yesterday. Remember that that funny idea?
Yeah.
You know,
how do you do?
Because I didn't think he was gonna be on the list. Whatever. I thought he was gonna be on the list because the White Sox are literally dead last, like at all metrics against lefties. Correct me if my information is inaccurate, but Patrick Corbin is left-handed.
Yes.
I'm just pointing that out.
That's fair. It's totally fair. You don't need to argue like that. Like I understand that it's the White Sox. Like, I mean, it's what are we doing?
I mean, you can look at it both ways. Oh, it's Corbin. That's true. But
yeah,
it's all for the White Sox.
Yeah, no, and it wouldn't surprise me. I don't really love, again, it's just the teams that I found that I thought made the most sense. And
listen, if you're playing just a handful of lineups, there's no reason to do any of the things I've mentioned in the last 20 minutes.
Right.
To be perfectly honest. But I don't know.
Boy, these White Sox numbers against lefties are hilarious.
It's hilarious, right?
But the thing that's crazy is they also like don't strike out against lefties. Like they have like one of the I think they might have the lowest strikeout rate, second lowest strikeout rate.
Cool. Corbin doesn't strike anybody out, so
but they never hit. But they don't hit anybody either. They've only got 5 home runs this season and 300 what is that? 268 at bats. Oh, okay, 268 at bats. That's crazy. You guys go for it. I'm okay. Go ahead and play Mize. I'm just saying what I was doing. I'm totally good with anybody doing whatever they feel like, especially on a 6-game play.
It's the United States of America.
Yeah, I really like King of Smack's talking about. I like it. I think that makes that sure a little different. It's just for me. I felt like it was a very narrow pool. I'm only playing a few lineups.
You prefer to play the better plays, is what you're saying.
I prefer it today because I'm not playing enough lineups and it's a single entry and that kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And then, and the other thing that makes it a little bit funnier to stack the White Sox, why they might not be quite as high owned as people think, is because you have, multiple outfielders. You've got 5 outfielders, right? So like it's a little tricky to stack them. Actually, no, there's only 4, but still, it's you got Sheets and Benintendi, who no one's going to play either of those guys. And everyone's going to play Eloy and Pham. Pham is going to be the most popular player on the slate, I believe. So I get it. I understand why. That's look. There's King of Smack's take, which is Pham homers against Corbin today, which is probably like I would like that. Even though he's the most popular player, he will be in my biggest buy-in line.
I'll tell you the truth. I'm playing in the I'm just going to be perfectly transparent. Like in the big buy-in, I am playing Michael King and Brian Wu. That is my pairing.
Oh, nice. You went with the Wu.
Yeah, that is my pairing.
I understand it.
In the big buy-in. I'm not like going all nutso with like Patrick Corbin and Colorado stats and stuff like that. In like the big buy-in. But in the short slate, lottery setting, I literally forced in 30% Patrick Corbin. Just for something to do. And oh my God, look at all this money left on the table in some of these lineups. Oh, love this. We'll just see what happens. We'll just see. Hey, and this Gasser dude, is he supposed to be a strikeout guy? Because he didn't strike anybody out in the last game. I mean, he struck out 4 guys in 6 innings.
Who?
Gasser?
He's just a young. He's going to be a guy. It's hard to know with young guys exactly where they're going to end up.
Okay.
But yeah. See a couple of text messages asking. God, this insurance stuff. All right. All right. How do you want to do it? Do you want to just turn back around and then do the night slate, and then we can go to? Because I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of discussion. The only thing that'll happen is if the lineups come out, that might get in the way of our next thing. So how do you want to approach it with the?
You want to just talk about the main slate right now?
Let's just get into the main slate right now. So I'll just we'll put it on the thing at 25 minutes. We're going to go through the main slate as well. Let me just call it up real quick. And I'm kind of, I have to say I'm a little tilted though. To get the Dodgers at 3% ownership and not have a big night feels a little frustrating to me. It's very, very hard to get the Dodgers at that ownership, and it just, I don't know, just a little tilting that I thought I was going to have a little bit of a better night, and I could have used one.
What do we have tomorrow? What do we have today? 7 games? Okay.
Yeah, 7 on the main, right? Yeah.
All right. We could. Why don't we do it? Let's do it another way. So for the main slate, like, who is your? If you had to rank your pitchers, like, how would you rank?
So as much as he's not been himself, I would say Valdez. Has
he been hurt or just not been pitching well?
He hasn't pitched well.
Okay.
Valdez. I probably will play Canning because of the price, and I want to play if where I want to play Texas and the Dodgers in Atlanta. That's where I would play. Probably I would have to find a way to spend down. So playing Griffin Canning at 5,500, he's been horrible, but I know St. Louis has scored a couple games in a row, but I'll still take the overall season numbers. Between Lopez and Morton, I think I would go. I just think I feel more comfortable with Lopez, even though I don't love the matchup against the Yankees. And maybe I talked myself into to going down for a guy like Taj Bradley or Tanner Houck. I don't know. It's a tough one. The pitching on the main slate is a little bit tricky today.
I do have Valdez rated number one, and he's being owned, and and then I have a couple of guys kind of tied, and they're pretty much the guys you mentioned. So Canning, Lopez, and Morton, I have very similarly. Again, totally different prices, but just everything else being equal. I do like them. I don't know if you mentioned Lance Lynn. It's kind of a scary click nowadays.
Yeah, it's fine. Those guys all rate similarly, like to me.
Yeah. Taj Bradley, you mentioned him. Tanner Houck, you mentioned him. And then, I mean, just the kids might say keep it real. The other guys like rates right alongside of them is the John Gray. That's not the easiest matchup in the world either. Oh my God, Carlos Carrasco is pitching?
Yeah, he's been pitching.
Carlos Carrasco is pitching in Texas?
Which means Texas is going to be the chalk.
Oh my God. I mean, what are those guys going to be, 7,000? Oh, that's right. They don't adjust the.
They don't do it the way they used to. I don't even know how they did that for so long. It seemed like a little bit unnecessary. Yeah, I think it's going to be Texas and Houston as the chalk. I like both of those teams for what it's worth. I will not play them as full 5-man stacks. I will absolutely be more than happy to just switch over and play Atlanta. Let me just check on the weather for the main slate, but I think Atlanta is going to end up as my main thing. I did get the Dodgers, and they beat the hell out of Webb last time. I don't think I'm going to go back to it today, personally. I'm going to have some of it. Don't get me wrong. Every day I play, I'm going to have a Dodger stack or two. That's just the way it is. The offense is too good, but. Atlanta against the sod, 77 degrees with the wind blowing out. Sign me up as Atlanta to be the best team to take on this slate. Although Texas and Houston certainly make sense. You got Aaron Brooks against Houston, but I mean, honestly, you see it last night with Houston. Boom, Bregman hits a home run in the first inning, and then you get nothing. They're just a weird team. I don't know if it's a full-time broken. I will throw out that Bregman, like after being horrible all season, is like red hot right now. He has 6 hits, 5 hits in his last 7 at bats, 3 home runs. He's just raking. So I like the idea of. I like the idea of Houston. I just don't want to play that ownership. So those will probably be my complementaries. The Texas, Houston's, and the Dodgers as a complementary to my main focus of getting as much Braves as I possibly can. And how about again last night? By the way, Sheets, we buried the lead.
St. Louis? St. Louis?
No, they had Blanco. They had illegal stuff on his I don't know whether it was his glove or his hand or whatever. So they threw him out of the game in like the 4th inning.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
He was cruising too. But yeah, so Houston
was cheating. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah. This is what Houston they couldn't stand being under 500, so they're going to try to go back to their cheating ways, which probably means that they're going to 100 games again.
Yeah, I mean boy, oh boy, that's a bad look to say the least.
Bad look, especially when you're 10 games under 500 or whatever.
Yeah, I have. I mean, my early look at the main slate with the hitting, it's St. Louis value again, and I actually have St. Louis as like the chalkiest stack on the slate right now.
Interesting.
That's kind of interesting again, but it's the same. It's the same guys, well, maybe not. Like Herrera's 3,300. What's Gorman? I mean, these guys again. These are not like usual and whatever. But Wynn was 3,200. He didn't steal as aggressively as I thought he was going to yesterday. By the way.
Yeah, I feel like we talk about it every time every time I hear about him. I feel like people are expecting him to steal every single time, and I would have thought so. I go into that assumption, and then I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah, but Texas is going to be, they're the best team I think tonight. Atlanta, you mentioned, sure. What about who's Boston up against Bradley?
Yeah, I could see both sides of that one. Some Bradley, some Boston. I think Houck though makes a lot. I think Houck makes more sense than the Bradley. He's just a little more expensive. Yeah, I think so if I had to rank them, it's a little early in the day, but if I had to rank my pitchers for this evening, I think I would go with Valdez 1. I know myself, and I'm going to stack Atlanta, so that means I have to spend some money. Maybe I could do it without spending too much money. I did get, it's full Texas stack with no money yesterday. I'm sorry, with spending up yesterday. But Canning has the 5th highest K prop on the slate, and he's the what? So there's 14 pitchers. He's the 14th most expensive pitcher, 13th most expensive pitcher. That's enough of a reason for me, especially on a slate where I don't feel worried outside of Valdez and potentially Lopez.
Okay, I'm going to play the master of the obvious play. Okay, so you have Valdez pitching at home, pitching against Oakland, right? Oakland's pitcher,
Aaron Brooks
is 34 years old, and this is like it says his 3rd try to get back into the majors.
Yeah,
first appearance since 2022, and his first start since 2019, and he was actually bad in AAA. I mean, they're going to just win freaking 10-0, aren't they? I mean, this is.
Well, that's what everyone thinks. I know your things may say, what's it called? I do not buy that St. Louis ends up more owned than Houston. I think
what I'm going to look to do here. Let me just
you're for fun. The alt run line.
Let's see what the alt run line is that I could get. Like, what's like 5 runs for?
But also a bad bullpen behind him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so let's see what this is. It's probably a terrible line, as they all are, but let's just see what we can get here. All right, so let's pull this Oakland game up. Let's see the alt run line. I'm sure I'm not the only person to come up with this idea, right? So.
Oh, I would bet not.
All right, alternative run line. Let's say 5.5. You only get 4 to 1.
Well, they're projected for almost 5.5. The 4 to 1.
I mean, to win by 5.5.
Oh, to win by 5.5.
I mean, I got to win
6. I kind of like that.
I got to win by 6 runs, and I'm only getting 4 to 1.
I still kind of like it. I said maybe it's not quite enough, but it's not the worst
There's
thing.
No way that it's enough. There's just no way it's enough. Excuse me, 6.5 runs, 5.64 to 1. No chance. Screw that. Good luck, everybody that plays all this stuff. Unbelievable.
Now here comes the Aaron Brooks 34-year-old miracle shutout story.
but it just goes to show you, if you want to take the other side of that, you got to lay 10.6 to 1. You have a 5. They're giving you. They have such confidence in their lines. They're pricing a 500-point spread. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Oh man,
it's hard enough for people to win anyway.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Anyway. So I was really proud of myself because I thought like yesterday with the basketball, I had all this stuff figured out. I nailed the Christian Braun thing, right? Like I got that, nailed it down. He closed the second quarter. He closed the second half. He guarded. He played his most minutes of the series. He put up 26 fantasy points at 3,400. It was awesome. The problem was, I played Nickeil Alexander-Walker everywhere, and he was like 30-something% owned where he should have been 95% owned. So I got some of the things right, but the problem was I got so stuck on this that I decided not to play like McBride and Precious as much, and I needed to get them all together and then just play the combination we talked about, the Jokic-Brunson thing, and you literally could not have lost money if you played some of that combination. It's just frustrating when you're two of your my second and third highest owned players were Nickeil Alexander-Walker and what's his name? They were Brunson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Braun, and somehow still not coming away ahead is just like, how did that happen? And Braun was like 10% owned,
How did my under in the Pacer Nick game work out? That was a good pick by me, huh?
It went the other way, huh? We got the other over and the win for Denver, as I sort of suspected that I thought Denver was gonna come out pretty strong last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a difference between getting things right and winning. I'm happy to get things right, but I'd really like to win more.
Aaron Brooks, wasn't he the quarterback for the Saints?
He was also the point guard for the Oregon Ducks and actually Houston Rockets for a little bit.
That too. That's right.
And he was the quarterback for the Saints. That's right.
You know what? Now he's 34-year-old minor leaguer in the Oakland A's system. Oh my God, what a life!
Yep.
How much do you think you make, like as an Oakland A's minor league pitcher, like $12 an hour? I mean, like That's
That's a
that's rough. It's a rough scene.
Yeah. So I just want to point out one thing about this Dodgers tonight, and I might have to change my mind. So the Dodgers have had this is the most sample you're going to see from anybody. Like they've had 180 at bats against Logan Webb. Guess what? Their batting average is 341. Their OPS is 942 as a team. They've hit 21 extra base hits, so they've got a 20% walk rate and a 15% extra base hit rate. That's an incredible number. And they did light him up already once this year. Now, I like Logan. I think Logan Webb's a good pitcher. But I'm telling you, when you get a 7-game slate and the Dodgers end up 2% owned again and they score 10 runs, I think you got to have some exposure to the Dodgers after looking at this. I mean, and the fact that only Shohei is projecting to have any kind of ownership whatsoever in this game. The Dodgers, I might play the Dodgers with Texas tonight. I'm sorry, the Dodgers with Atlanta tonight.
I got to tell you something else. I mean, there are people that bet MMA all the time, and they lay like 2.5 to 1 on these fights, like on the money line, where they parlay them and all this stuff with all this freaking chaos. And I could take the Astros at -245 in this game, like straight up. I mean, is that real? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that seems.
All that said, this is where the Tyler Nevin and Shane Langolier show just.
Yeah, and the A's, who currently I think still have a better record than Houston.
Yeah. But this seems kind of ridiculous. But whatever.
No, I agree with you. I think that yeah, they do have a better record still. All right, so we're going to be doing a golf show, guys, next, which I'm really looking forward to because this is a fun golf week. And I will update my exposures in the Discord. It's one you can actually trust me more on because although baseball actually lately, I've got a few things, but the golf has been pretty good, and I have more research to do after we do our show, even though our show is a lot of my not my research, but a lot of my final decisions.
Here, so I'll take my wife out for $100 dinner tonight.
There you go.
With the 100 I'm going to make on this is free money.
It does feel like it, but okay. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those that you probably would have been like minus like 450 or 550 last year if it was Valdez normally and Oakland was as terrible.
Oakland with no bullpen and a 34-year-old minor leaguer. Good luck.
Yeah, we'll see.
At Houston, no less. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, good luck, guys. Be live at 6 Eastern and go over some basketball and baseball then.
And we'll do golf at 1?
Golf at 1.